park, brother.
Yeah.
When we park, you want to park, you will progress.
So right now we are motivational TV and here with Sakima Mullings, smooth. Sakima, you do your boxing, though you're embarking on a new journey. Can you give us some insight on that new journey that you're on right now?
Right now, I'm just looking to put myself in a situation where I've been taking steps, put myself in a situation to where I can give back as much to boxing as possible. So then that's with me doing, I recently finished my education, so I'll be offering advising services to fighters, training services, consultation services, advising services. So it's basically, again, a one-stop boxing shop, creating an ecosystem around boxing where I'll be able to give my skill sets that I've developed over the years back to the next generation of Jamaican fighters.
And how is that going so far with the youth that you're around you right now?
No, actually, it's very good. Again, so then I'm working as an analyst, I'm working as a commentator, I'm working as a boxing writer, I'm working as a boxing coach. So, and I've been doing consultation work, so it's kind of like all of the areas in boxing that I see myself having a future in, I'm getting, and I'm developing, I'm further developing my skill sets with real world practical application now.
So what is your goal working with these young fighters and inner city?
Ultimately, at the end of the day, I believe that, like, I've been dedicated to boxing. Boxing has given me tremendous things. Boxing has offered me transferable life skills that I've been able to take from one aspect of my life and apply to the other aspect of my life. With that, I found that that's put me on a journey to and a pathway to success. So my thing is that I believe that if the next generation of Jamaican youth, if they get on the same pathway and if they understand, maybe it's not about that every youth is going to become a world champion, but each one can develop the transferable life skills so that they could use on their individual pathways to becoming successful in whatever else it is that they choose. It's the skill sets. It's understanding that boxing is hard work, so you have to have discipline to do it. It's understanding that there's going to be challenges, so then you have to develop a level of resilience. You have to be able to overcome. And those are the things that you're able to take away from boxing and apply to other aspects of life so that they'll be successful in anything else that they do.
There's a lot of obstacles in boxing that lots of the fighters talk about. What are some of the obstacles and what can be done to improve boxing in Jamaica?
Well, what are some of the obstacles? There's too many to name. But then here and now, it's inclusion. It's equal opportunity that where we believe that, the system is too biased. There's not equal opportunity for everyone. There's not equal opportunity for a youth that's in the gym to say just like, well, I want to fight or I want to participate, and then he's allowed to fight and he's allowed to participate. So it creates a tremendous obstacle or hurdle that's on top of other obstacles and hurdles that are already present. The transparency, like for what it is, the selection process. It kind of just there's a lot of problems. There's a lot of issues and a lot of problems that need to be addressed, so that boxing represents the will of boxers moving forward.
So is there a fighter out there now, or fighters that you see that can be the next champion of Jamaica?
No, absolutely. So then the issue with Jamaica is, it's a thing where you see in Jamaica straight across the board, there's never been an issue with Jamaican talent. It's just like, we're not a place that lacks talent, but there's no development. There's not a system. There's not a pathway for development. There's not a system recruiting new fighters into boxing. There's not a system that has coaches with the appropriate skill sets to develop fighters. So now the coaches are not there. Then there's not a system to recruit the fighters in. But the fighters will come, but then the coaches are not competent to develop the fighters. They don't have the necessary skill sets to develop the fighters. So the fighters, they stay flawed throughout their career. Then there's no regular scheduled competition. then after there's no regular scheduled competition, the infrastructure is poor. After the infrastructure is poor, then again, all of that developing sports takes funding. Then there's not transparent written policy and procedure. So a youth that's in Jamaica boxing knows that, okay, well, I'm gonna get a fair shake if I go by this policy and this procedure because it's worded. No coaches, no athlete recruitment, no the infrastructure is suspect, the regular scheduled competition. There is no regular scheduled competition. Then the fundraising, the finance, everything, and the policies and the procedures. So there's a whole ecosystem of problems that need to be corrected in terms of moving Jamaica boxing forward. So until those things are corrected, it's very difficult for like a youth to come in and say just like, well, you have the talent, but then how it becomes very difficult to develop a talent within a system that's so flawed.
We see Ignan Russell doing well overseas and Ricardo Brown doing well. Can we see any of these guys fighting in Jamaica anytime soon?
Well, I don't know. Like, you know, it's just that so to speak again, is like the local Jamaica fighter has issues fighting regularly. So then for the guys actually, they again, Ricardo and Kamal become the outliers because based off of their talent and with their ability, they've been able to create a pathway for themselves. You know, so then it's that, well, can the next generation of Jamaican youths follow a similar pathway? Is that realistic? And again, it's just that, is that realistic that every Jamaican kid can follow that pathway? So then, you know, it becomes that for the Jamaican youth, but then also with them say that now if they want to come back in reverse and say just like, well, I'm Jamaican, I have pride, and I want to fight at home in front of my people. You know, Ricardo been operating as a professional. It's 2 years now. You know, Kamal's been operating. Kamal just got back fighting, so then he has a year in. So to speak, you know, the jury's still out to say is just that, well, can they come back and fight in Jamaica sometime soon? I think that we maybe should have had Ricardo back here already, especially early in a fighter's career where maybe, you know, it's not as expensive because he's a heavyweight. The further he climbs up that ladder, the more expensive those fights become. And then, you know, Jamaican market is not Toronto market in terms of our spectators being able to pay for expensive boxing tickets.
Is there anything can be done, in your opinion? What do you think can be done to build up Jamaica boxing more?
Well,
to compete with the rest of Caribbean or...
You know, again, we're doing fine when it comes to the English-speaking Caribbean, but then in regards to competing on a level with them, but then where is that coming from? Is it that there's a system in place, or is it that the individual talent of this kid and 2 kids or 3 kids, you know, like to build up Jamaica boxing? Again, it's the same issue. To build Jamaica boxing on a grassroots level from an athlete development perspective, it has to begin with coaches. Because if you don't have the coaches, we have an abundance of talent, but you don't have the coaches to develop boxing skill, develop boxing IQ. You don't have the coaches are not here to develop the boxers, the talent that's here. And after the talent, you have to look at the situation, say just like, well, what is the rest of the ecosystem? What is the rest of the infrastructure to develop Jamaica boxing? After the coaches, it's the infrastructure, the gyms. You know, after the gyms, it's the regular scheduled competition. After the gyms, it's the pathway to say just that, well, I know what I need to do to become a champion. It's the policies and procedures, and then it's the shows, it's the spectacle. Like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, well, you have to have something that a kid wants to aspire to say just that, well, I want to fight on that. You know, or I want to be that person. I aspire to be Kamal Russell. I aspire to be Ricardo Brown. I aspire to be the next Olympian. That who do they want? Like, who is it that they see that they want to become? And then that person has to be reachable. He has to be tangible. It has to be touchable. It has to be a person that says just like, well, I could relate to that. The system that is in place right now, it doesn't. I don't believe there's a system that respects the fighters who have come before. They don't honor the fighters that have come before. They push them aside. and then they ostracize. So then the children, or the next generation has nobody to look up to, and it's a system that rewards failure instead of acknowledging who has actually contributed to the development of Jamaica boxing.
What motivates Sakima Mullings to get up and do what he's doing? Well, when I go on the street, people say Sakima Mullings is a very humble guy, he's a good guy, he's one of the best. What motivated you to do what you're doing?
Well, ultimately, at the end of the day, it's easy for me because I'm living my passion. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like me, I know my purpose. I know what I love, and I know it's that, you see, if I didn't love boxing, I wouldn't be involved in boxing, but boxing is my passion. It just so happens that boxing is my passion. Like, you know what I mean? So then it's kind of like I'm going to box, or I'm going to be involved in boxing. And that's what it is. So then with me understanding who I am at my core, it's just about me giving back in terms of the way that I've been taught to and the way that I can. A lot of people have been involved in my development, right? And there's a lot that I'll never be able to pay back. But then, so then the one thing I could do is I could pay it forward to the next generation of youth to say just like, well, I've developed these skill sets. Like, you know what I mean? I have this know-how, and then I also have the ability to teach it back, to pass it back. So then it only becomes like we feel that it's our obligation and it's our duty to be able to give back to the next generation. That's our debt that we pay to be a part of society. We have to give back.
Is there a message you can give someone right now who don't know their purpose and want something to motivate them to find a drive to do what they love?
Well, it becomes simple, right? You have to reflect. It's about identity. It's about reflection. It's about you. So then within you, it's doing some real introspection, some real reflection to say just like, well, who am I at my core? You know, so then you have to have that conversation with yourself first. After you have that conversation with you first and you find out who you are, then it's coming up with a plan, right? And then it's coming up with goals, right? And coming up with objectives and putting yourself on a pathway to becoming whoever it is that you want to be. But then that has to be at your core. It has to be at your passion. It has to be aligned with your purpose. Once you figure out who you are, once you start setting your goals, the next thing that you have to do is that you have to find a mentor in whatever it is that you want to do. Mentor becomes very important because the mentor streamlines your process in terms of developing to the person that you want to become. Like they're going to eliminate all the wasted time that instead of you going in a direction that you shouldn't go, the pitfalls that you might not be able to see because you don't have the experience in the direction that you're going. Mentor becomes very important. So it's aligning yourself. It's first figuring out who you are, and then finding a mentor to becoming whatever it is that you want to be. Then it's understanding that when on my journey to becoming who I want to become, that I'm going to have to make sacrifices. You know, boxing teaches that you have to make sacrifices. Sacrifice the way that you eat, sacrifice the way that you sleep. You have to make tremendous sacrifice. Within that's making the sacrifice, then it's about understanding that, all right, well, delayed gratification. You know what I mean? Sacrifices are delayed gratification. I might want to eat this now because it looks good or it tastes good. I might want to do this now because my friends are doing it. But again, it's the sacrifices and delayed gratification. If I know who I am at my core, if I come up with a plan, at the root of that plan, guided by a mentor, and that I'm willing to make sacrifices, and I understand what delayed gratification is. That's what it is in terms of how you become successful, no matter what you choose in life. It's who you are at your core. It's identity in terms of who you are, what you're passionate about. It's about setting goals. It's about having a mentor, and it's about making sacrifices to delayed gratification.
All right, Mr. Mullings, well said. Thank you very much for your time.
I appreciate it. Thank you for giving me a voice. T. Mullings, checking out.